Hi everyone, welcome to Witty's kitchen. Today I want to share my 4 tips of cooking perfect plant-based chow mein, aka fried noodle. With these 4 simple but very important cooking tricks, you can cook your homemade fried noodle just like restaurant quality. So let's get started. Tip number 1. You want your noodle for stir-frying be a bit chewy and firm, just like when you cook your pasta al dente. That's why most of Chinese restaurants use egg noodle to cook chow mein, because the protein in eggs improves the noodle texture. But it doesn't mean you can't cook perfect chow mein with eggless noodle. This noodle I bought from my local Chinese grocery store is eggless, and it's in round shape, so this is actually the type you want to use. Thicker than this is also fine, and there are pre-cooked eggless noodle available out there too, but unfortunately most of the time there would be more gluten and food coloring added in to make it stronger in texture and look like egg noodle in color. Just beware about it. Then look at this type of noodle. It's eggless, no food coloring, basically only made from wheat flour and water, and the shape is flat and thin, which means it's soft, easy to break apart, and create big lumps if you use it for chow mein. It's good for other types of noodle dishes, but not for chow mein. But don't worry, if you don't like food additives, there's another perfect substitute for egg noodle, which is the spaghetti capellini or angel hair. They are made from durum wheat semolina, so naturally firmer and chewy. I cooked chow mein with it many times, but my family never tell it's not made from Chinese noodles. So that's what I'm going to use today too. Now let's blanch it in boiling water. Add in 150 grams angel hair, cook for about 3 minutes, or as the instruction on the package, no olive oil or salt needed. Then drain it completely, add in 1 tablespoon sesame oil to give it a bit of aroma and also help the noodles separated from each other. Mix it up evenly with chopsticks. I didn't rinse it in cold water, so the hot noodle will get a bit dry as the water evaporates, which means it can absorb more flavor when we cook it later. Then I cut the noodle shorter with a pair of scissors to make it easier to stir fry. Then let's prepare some protein and grains. This is pressed tofu. It has a brownish color because it's pre-marinated with 5 spice, soy sauce, etc. It's much firmer than ordinary firm tofu. The texture is actually quite meaty, very close to ham. This is one of the many types of tofu that you're gonna like. This one is original pressed tofu. Please check your local Chinese grocery store if you want to give it a try, because this type of tofu is actually very commonly used in Chinese cuisine. At the moment, I'm working on a series of videos about how to reduce the unpleasant flavor from tofu, about tofu texture or different types, and how to prepare them. They'll be uploaded in a couple of weeks because there's really a lot to talk about. So please subscribe and hit the bell so you won't miss them out. For today's recipe, I just simply cut them into strips, but if you don't like it or can't get it, you can absolutely use regular firm tofu. It won't change the overall flavor of your fried noodle at all. Then we prepare some veggies, lots of veggies actually, so I started with spring onion. Cut the green part off for later. Chop the white part briefly with a slight angle into strips. Set aside. Then chop my leftover half red onion into similar strips, put it in the same bowl. Then dice 5 cloves of garlic. It's not necessary to be very fine, put into the same bowl too. Then cut some carrot julienne, put in another big bowl. The same as my leftover red capsicum or bell pepper. Try to cut them into uniform size so they can be cooked evenly. Then it comes to the bok choy. For this recipe, I'd like to separate the white stem part and the green leafy part, because the white stem part is thicker, tougher, and stringy. I know this is also the reason why some people turn away from greens, but don't worry, just follow my instruction. You'll develop a better relationship with them. Chop the white part into strips and put it together with the carrot and the red capsicum julienne. And for the thin, delicate green leafy part, just briefly cut them into bigger pieces. Put in another different bowl with some bean sprouts, which I'd like to add in my chow mein dish too. Then take the green part of your spring onion back on chopping board, cut them into shreds like this, put together with bean sprouts and bok choy leaves. Here comes tip number 2. It's very important to get everything ready before stir frying, because stir fry is a quick cooking technique that you should toss the ingredients constantly over high heat. So please find the full recipe in the description box below to set all your veggies, sauces, and seasonings ready on site before stir frying. When everything's ready, let's move on to the stove. Put a wok or pan on medium heat, add in 1 to 2 tablespoons cooking oil. Saute our pressed tofu until golden brown. It took me about 2 minutes. Then take them out, set aside, leave the rest of the oil in the wok. Then turn to high heat, add in the mixed onion and garlic. Stir fry until the onions become transparent. Then add in the carrot, capsicum, and bok choy stems. Then keep on tossing the wok until the veggies getting as tender as you like. It took me about 3 minutes, so that these lovelies are nicely tender but still crunchy. Then I added in the rest of the delicate vegetables, and the pressed tofu back in too. Now my wok looks like fully loaded, so I added in dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, and a vegetarian oyster sauce, or sugar if you don't have it. Then I directly pile the cooked angel hair on top of the big veggie mountain, then give it a good mix. The wok now is way too heavy for me to toss, so if you didn't work out for a while, just follow what I'm doing. Hold the spatula in one hand and the chopsticks or tongue in the other hand. Then toss the noodle and the veggie with both. With the salt from the sauces, the big veggie mountain should be cooked down very quickly, and the noodle should be mixed in very well at the same time. So the tip number 3 is the order of adding in ingredients and seasonings. First, I separate the vegetables into 2 groups. I cook the hard, stringy ones first to give them enough time to get tender. The other group is the delicate veggies that take much less time to cook, so I added this group at 1 minute before finishing cooking. With this method, you can cook lots of different types of grains you like in chow mein. Chow mein is a one-pan dish that really can clean up the leftover veggies from your fridge. Then I add in some salt and pepper for taste, mixed well. For seasoning, I added the sauce on top of the veggie instead of noodle, so the veggies will get some flavor and cook down more quickly because of the salt from the sauce. If I added the sauce on top of noodle, the dry, thirsty noodle will absorb the sauce instantly. A huge veggie mountain will still taste bland and take longer to cook down. But if you prefer original flavor of veggie with super tasty noodle, just add in the sauce on top of the noodle, so the noodle will take away most of the flavor and look darker too. Then it comes to tip number 4. Also the last step to bring your chow mein to another level is adding in 1 to 2 teaspoons rice cooking wine. This is because with high heat, the alcohol will trigger a reaction called esterification with the acidic compounds from the food and produce some volatile esters, which makes your dish smell and taste extremely delicious. That's also the reason why some restaurants would drizzle some lemon juice or vinegar before finishing cooking, which provides more acidic compounds. Then it's ready to serve. Such a quick and easy one-pan dish. The pressed tofu is very meaty and flavorful. The vegetables are tasty, tender, but very crunchy. Together with super delicious chewy noodle, this is the plant-based homemade chow mein I'm talking about. I really hope you give it a try with these 4 simple tips and tell me how's your fried noodle. Thanks for watching. See you next time.